guys, welcome back to BlockParty Trading. Today we're going to be looking at ARB, Arbitrum protocol. Pretty interesting coin. Had a big launch back on the 23rd of March, an airdrop which went viral really. Incredibly interesting, mainly because the protocol itself has got a really interesting kind of fundamental basis. Effectively, in simple terms, what it does is it helps provide more efficiency to the Ethereum mainnet. The way it does that is that it takes multiple transactions, processes them off-chain, bundles them as one transaction, and then processes that back on the Ethereum mainnet. Effectively, what that does is that gives you a much lower cost, a much higher speed, yet maintains the security that you would have gone to Ethereum for in the first place. So it's a really nice idea, and that was kind of used to generate a lot of hype for this airdrop back on the 23rd. However, we have seen a few ups and downs since then. We're on the 4-hour chart, not a lot of data to go on here, but I think we can draw some pretty interesting conclusions, and we're certainly getting some ideas of some kind of key inflection points and prices. So the first thing I think that really kind of jumps out is it looks like we're establishing a price floor down here. So straight off the bat, I would say that if we end up in price points underneath this price of 1.05, that would be concerning to me. The second thing is I think we can really see a key inflection points just going straight across here. So we can see that price multiple times has struggled with, found resistance, and then support from this price point. So this 1.28 looks to be a really key price, and so I would feel bullish if we were above here, and I'd be very bearish if we were below here. Currently we're kind of mired in this no man's land, so let's see what kind of like formations are affecting this. So I always kind of start by just looking for that initial price move and see if we can draw any conclusions. So I think what we've got here is a classic falling wedge, and I know I talk about these sort of shapes a lot, but I think it's a really key indicator, a very easy way of spotting price movements. When you think about the logic behind why those lower highs and higher lows, lower lows and lower highs, how that's working, what's happening in terms of the support and resistance being ground down. You know, you're exhausting people selling off, and you're exhausting buys and effectively forcing a move out in one direction. So we can see we saw a dramatic breakout after that. Then we had this very kind of steep trend line which came in from this all-time high, and effectively we met the support level that we've already highlighted, saw this breakout here. 3 tests followed as we consolidated, looked like we were going to get a breakout. The month of April has been sort of very poor for cryptocurrencies. We saw Bitcoin's price falling, but also its dominance falling as money went out of the whole ecosystem. So we saw these 3 attempts, then the final breakdown, and we're starting to recover with this trend line. However, I wouldn't be too optimistic, as when we bring in the lines and actually kind of look at what's happening here, I think we're getting a rising bearish wedge. So it's entirely possible that we from here test this upper trend line, but if eventually, just as on a falling wedge we break up, on a rising wedge we expect to break down. So it is very possible that this lower support line here gets tested. If we just look down on the CDV, we can see also that the cumulative volume is at resistance here and looks to be getting rejected. Going to bring on the BlockParty indicator. I think the one thing we can draw from this is that obviously we have limited data for the moving averages. These are, even though it's a 4-hour chart, I'm still using the 20-day moving average here, this green line. And we can see that following that breakdown, this really acted as price resistance, and again it looks like it's in that, the vicinity to provide resistance to price here. So this could be a contributing factor perhaps towards a breakdown in price. We're going to get some volatility later today. We've got Chairman Powell from the Fed speaking, so there's a chance that that could shake up these technicals, give us another reason to break out. There are sort of some strong fundamentals, as I mentioned, for ARB. However, there have also been some issues The Arbitrum Foundation, I think there was an upgrade, AIP1 was their proposal, and effectively there were some concerns over the fact that the Arbitrum Foundation were going to be taking charge of a large amount of tokens that they could then use to fund development and to make available to investors. And I think there were some issues around the transparency there, which may have undermined some of the confidence that people had in the strong foundations and the strong use case that ARB has. Whether or not that's been resolved, I'm not really sure. I think that we've seen some large accumulation by whales recently. Those two things may well be linked. So there are some interesting things around this. Personally, all things being equal, though, I think that we might see a test of this upper trend line, perhaps a test of the forming 50-day moving average and 20-day moving average, and then I'd be looking to retest this lower trend line. And again, anything below that, bearish. Anything above, I'd be very bullish. Early days on the chart, so we haven't got a lot of data to work with, but those are just some ideas that I have looking straight off the bat. Any comments, drop them down below. If you want us to look at any token, any coin, any project, give us a shout. We lean very heavily on the technical analysis, so it's chart stuff. Often these things can be invalidated by real world scenarios, so if you are making any investment decisions based on anything you see here, bear that in mind. We're just looking at this price action and trying to draw some conclusions from it. All right, have a great day, and I'll speak to you later.